Good afternoon, boys and girls, and thank you very much for tuning in to episode 48 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you today from YouTube. It's a single perfume episode. Don't worry, it's not this one if you've already spotted what I've got here. I've only got this one because I haven't got the proper bottle of the one we are going to smell, but I wanted to give you a sense of what the full bottle might look like. Get the usual stuff out of the way first. If you are watching live, please feel free to ask a question, leave a comment. And even if you're not watching live, if you're watching the recording, please feel free to do the same. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much to those of you who have supported my Ko-fi page. More details of that in the video description below. And as per usual, the thing that we're going to smell today, there will be a blotter update a few hours after the original broadcast, because we cannot stress this enough. We cannot judge a perfume just on initial sniff, although this is one that I actually have sniffed already and I have worn at least once. I know that a lot of you will have worked out what it is. Let me just get on the tablet and make sure that everything is all right there, because we had a bit of a technical glitch in the last episode that we did. You thought this was the Rose Queer review, says Fahmi. No. That was done. That's another video, so you need to search for that. And Q George says, hello Persolaise, missed the previous one, but at least you're here for this one. Curious about the moon as well? Yes, thank you Fahmi, because that is exactly what it is. It is the latest addition to Frederic Malle's Arabian range. So let me stress, it's not this. This was the first of the Arabian scents that he did, called The Night, which was Frederic Malle's entry into the oud genre. I think this is superb, really, really beautiful. It is, I suppose, essentially Portrait of a Lady with oud, but that doesn't even begin to describe how great it is. Then we've had The Promise, which I think is probably my least favourite from that range. There's a review of that on the blog. We've had The Dawn, and now we have got The Moon. So I'm not going to show you the little vial that I have got of the moon, because that wouldn't be fair. I don't know what I'm going to do for a thumbnail for this one. Perhaps we'll just go, perhaps this will have to be the thumbnail. What do you think? Does that work as a thumbnail? Because I suppose in that sense, a bottle of the moon would look exactly like this. So, inane smile for thumbnail. Anyway, and actually, no, because this one isn't by Dominique Ropion. It's actually quite interesting who it is by. So let me just get this here. Have any of you tried this yet? It is interesting that Malle keeps doing these Arabian ones. I must admit, the purist in me wishes he just stuck to the one, at least for a good long while, and then maybe when some time had passed and he'd had a truly superb new idea, he could have done that one. Q George says, I've tried the moon. What did you think of it? Please share your views. Come on. Have I missed a comment? What's that emoji? Is TY? Oh, the moon. Okay, right. Sorry, I didn't even see that. So the purist in me wishes we didn't quite have as many of these as we do, but, I guess there is pressure on Monsieur Malle to appeal to the Arabian market and to maybe fit in with whatever forces may be working on him at Lauder. This is just pure speculation on my part, but I thought the moon was is one of the better ones from the Arabian collection. It kind of takes, how, funnily enough, I was writing about Tuscan leather the other day, because the latest written review on my blog is of Tuscan Leather Intense from Tom Ford. And Tuscan leather is one of these leather scents that plays with quite a garish, sickly, almost cheap, tart fruit note at the top. Strawberry. If you think of a scent like Canisia 10 from the early part of the 20th century, that does exactly the same thing. There is something about the tanginess of those fruits, like strawberries, raspberries, that works very, very well with the bitter facets of leather notes. Tuscan leather is very much in that mold, and actually so is the moon. Yes, the moon is trying to do the oud thing, but it plays on the leathery facets of oud much more maybe than the medicinal facets or the animalic facets or the fecal facets. And at the top, it places this tart fruit note, somewhere between strawberry and raspberry. Of course, as soon as I say it's not very animalic, I get a woof of barnyard stuff. Madame Persolaise was very, very taken with this, and then I told her how much it costs. Although, as far as the Arabian ouds scents from Frederic Malle are concerned, this one is a bargain because it's actually considerably cheaper than this baby here. So you get this almost juvenile quality at the beginning because of the fruit note. But interestingly, I'm not sure I think of it as being particularly lunar. I mean, I don't know what I would think. I suppose for the moon I would have expected something cold, white. I definitely wouldn't have expected anything that makes me think of pinks and reds, which is what the opening of this does. I mean, it's almost like heading into bubblegum territory, not necessarily in the bad way. Q George says, super sweet, lychee and berry opening. Yes, it is a bit like that. Then dries down to animalic leather. I really enjoy this middle phase. And finally, it's similar to Promise to me, but not as crispy. Maybe. Promise I wasn't so keen on. You can't get away from the kind of Haribo, gummy bears, lychee, as Q George said, feel of it. Which is interesting. At least it makes it maybe more curious than some of the other ones in the Arabian range. The rest of you all gone very, very quiet. There is a press release to go with it. What's interesting as well is that this was made by Julien Rasquinet, a perfumer with a very interesting history as far as his career is concerned. Okay, so press release from Frederic Malle. Frederic Malle press releases are usually well worth reading. So let's see what this says. Composed by promising young perfumer Julien Rasquinet, The Moon is the fourth Middle East-inspired perfume published by Frederic Malle as part of the Desert Gems collection. Not sure I knew they would call that. The Moon builds on its masterful predecessors, The Night and Promise by Dominique Ropion and Dawn by Carlos Benaim, to explore a different facet of the Middle Eastern style, a softer, more colourful interpretation of warm opulence. Colourful, yes, absolutely, and warm as well. As with each of the Desert Gems perfumes, The Moon celebrates a significant element of Middle Eastern culture, specifically the region's enduring attachment to the moon. That's true enough, playing a leading role in conducting the rhythm of life in the Middle East. I mean, the calendar in the Middle East is the traditional calendar, is the lunar calendar still. The moon's ethereal appearance dictates the religious calendar, hailing the beginning and end of all festivity. Yet in Arabic, invoking the moon has a dual meaning, a poetic allusion to romantic love. My moon becomes an adoringly grandiose term for one's beloved, that speaks of beauty and eternal devotion. There's a similar thing in Farsi as well. Touching upon this sense of romance, the moon exudes a soft, lavish quality. Rose, oud and frankincense meet a surprising profusion of ripe red berry notes, subtle evocation of the fruit-flavoured shisha enjoyed across the region. Now, I hadn't read this until now, and actually I think, okay, that's quite clever. If you're taking the moon actually as a heart, because that's what a lot of the symbolism around the moon is, then I suppose red berries and oud do work. It definitely calms down. It definitely becomes more elegant, more restrained as it goes along. And you remember I told you it's a bargain. Well, 100 mils of this is a mere £500. But I think that is the price of the 50 mils of the night. 50 mils of this stuff of the moon will set you back £320. So, what's there to complain about? Absolute bargains. I know I missed a few comments. Bad Karma says, greetings from Tijuana and Mexico. Hi. Ashfaq says, Mal's oud perfumes didn't impress me. Fair enough. Perhaps because they use some very cheap oud oils. In some cases, boya oud, which is created from leftovers. I've got to ask Ashfaq, do you somehow know that for a fact, or are you basing it on what you're smelling? Ashfaq goes on to say, we can easily buy far better stuff from Bornikov, Arich Ledore, Ensar Oud. All three are some of the best artisan oud distillers. Clearly, other ouds are available. Putting that aside and putting the price aside, because price in many ways actually is a personal issue. If something is reasonably priced, I guess that means that it's a price that you are prepared to pay for it. There is some stuff out there that costs £50 that I would not be willing to pay for the perfume, and maybe some things out there that cost £150 where I think, okay, yes, I am willing to do this. I'm willing to spend this much. So price a lot of the time does come down to personal things. I mean, of course, sometimes there are some things that you smell that you think of maybe just taking liberties with people's generosity, but yeah, that's a discussion for another time. This is, as somebody, agree with you, Ashfaq, I've tried Oud Luwak and it's amazed me. You need to tell me who that's by. I need to check that out. Based on the smell, says Ashfaq, those leathery facets are the telltale signs. Okay, interesting. The idea, though, of taking that kind of Tuscan leather, tart fruit structure, sticking it onto an oud is interesting, I suppose. It shows that maybe Malle is in a kind of leathery mode at the moment, because of course we had the rose and clear from him. And I've missed a comment there. Stiwa says, was not impressed with Bortnikov. Ingredients might be good, but blend is average at best and no refinement at all. Seems to be more hype, in my humble opinion. Interesting. I wish we had more time to pursue this. Every man should have an oud perfume for a serious romantic evening, says Bad Karma. Okay. Is this just based on experience or personal preference? I mean, I do have to say that Madame Persolaise likes me wearing an oud as well. She was taken with this too. Oud Luwak by Origiladore, says Ashfaq. You need to sample some Origiladore. I will. Thank you very much, Fahmi. I will do my best. But this is you know, I have to say, ultimately, I think this is a scent that is probably redundant. I don't think we need it. I don't think Frederic Malle needs it in their range. I think they would have been better off streamlining that the Arabian range. But for what it is, it's fine. It's actually getting more animalic as it goes along. Aperol Spritz, can't imagine being impressed with any fragrance that I'd fork out 320 or 500. I know, absolutely. You know, I can say, I think there's only been one occasion actually when I've spent in that region, unless my memory's failing me. But yes, I mean, that's got to be a personal thing, and I do wish that brands would make smaller sizes to make things more accessible. I was just saying that this is getting much more animalic. It's kind of starting to show me raspberries in a very, very naughty light. It's quite disturbing, like rude pornographic raspberries. But it's fine. You know, it's not going to end up, I think, redefining anything or changing the game the way that some of Frederic Malle's earlier perfumes did, or indeed the way I still do think The Night did. I think The Night is just gorgeous. I think in many ways it's perfection. But it's always interesting to find out what Frederic Malle is doing. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget about the blotter update. Don't forget to send comments and questions my way if you've got something to say. I should qualify my criticisms, if one is used to niche and mainstream oud perfumes, they'll be happy with Frederic Malle, but for an oud head like me, they're nothing special. But yes, well, that's fine. I mean, thank you for the qualification, but we all come at these things from different ways. You know, somebody might smell this, and if they haven't smelled an oud before, and they may think it's absolutely revelatory. And funnily enough, I touch on that issue in my review of Tuscan Leather Intense over on the blog, this sense of the fact that there is just so much stuff out there that you can't expect everybody to have tried everything. But I'm going to leave you in peace. So until the next time, I will try to give you as much notice as possible of when the next video is going to be. But until the next time, thank you very much for tuning in, and be good. Bye now.